Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. So I discussed in, I believe, my last video, I said that I was changing my focus a little bit and I was going to focus on a different case. I have put in a FOIA request, but I've been denied for two reasons. One, they said that due to a new statute or something, the case is still under investigation. And two, you have to be a resident of Arkansas to receive anything from a FOIA. And I am in Texas. So I need somebody from Arkansas, people, please. But anyways, today I wanted to talk about one of the boys. And tomorrow I will do a video on somebody else and then so on, you know. I have not posted anything in my Facebook page yet because I am still going through documents. Like this book right here is documents, people's documents, and I'm on page 15. There are 19 pages, 446 names to go through, and I am on 340 of 446. It's a lot. And I took a couple of days off because I've been on it constantly. So I had to take a few days off because I wasn't getting a lot of sleep and everything. But anyways, enough about that. So today we are going to talk about Michael Moore, or James Michael Moore. I do not have a whole lot of information on the boys, so what I do have, I'm going to share with you guys. James Michael Moore was born July 27th, 1984, in Key West, Florida. He had a sister named Dawn Moore, who was 1 year older than he was. And as far as I know, she is still in West Memphis, Arkansas. His parents are Roy Todd Moore and Diane Dana Moore of West Memphis, Arkansas, and they have since split up. Michael enjoyed wearing his scout uniform even when he was not at meetings. He was considered to be the leader of the three. He lived with his parents, Roy Todd and Dana Moore, and his 9-year-old sister, Dawn. He was 8 years old, 4 feet, 2 inches tall, and weighed 55 pounds, and had brown hair. He was last seen wearing blue pants and a Boy Scouts of America t-shirt, or Boy Scouts of America shirt, and had an orange and blue Boy Scout hat. And he was riding a light green bicycle. Moore enjoyed wearing his scout uniform. Oh, I already said that. I'm sorry about that. James Michael Moore is buried in the, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Crittenden Memorial Park Cemetery in Marion, Arkansas. The sad thing about that, 8 years old, 4 feet, 2 inches tall, and 55 pounds. My daughter will be 6 in December, and she's about that tall, and she's 10 pounds lighter than that, but she's about that tall, and it's just so tragic seeing something like this. I cannot fathom what the parents of these boys went through, what their siblings have gone through. As a parent myself, I could not even imagine anything like this happening to my child. it's just it's sad. Oh, sorry about that. But like I said, I don't have a whole ton of information about the boys. I wish I had more. I really don't have a whole lot of stuff. I just don't have it. I do have the autopsy reports. I have some of the autopsy photos, but not everything. This is all of what I can find online. And it's just it's a lot. It's tragic just does not even begin to express how bad it is. I'm trying to, oh yeah, it's on my Canva. I guess I can go through the autopsy with you guys on Michael during this video. Okay, here it is. Okay. Michael's autopsy is 9 pages long. Oh, come on, quit being stupid. There we go. Okay. Michael Moore, 8-year-old white male, pronounced on May 6, 1993 at 4:10 p.m. He was found near the South Service Road at Interstate 40 and 55 on May 6, 1993. Approximately 2:30 p.m. is when he was found, when they were found, I'm sorry. Or his particular body was found around 2:30. This is marked that they did do an autopsy. And it's just listed as multiple injuries. Manner of death is homicide. And then we have page 2, which I'm trying to get to. There we go. Alright, date of examination was May 7th, 1993 for James Michael Moore, 8 years old, white male. Place of death, West Memphis, Arkansas, County, Crittenden. Cause of death, multiple injuries with drowning. Manner of death, homicide. Toxicology, blood, drug screen, blood, no drugs detected. Blood type was A positive. External description: the body was that of a well-developed, well-nourished nude male whose hands were bound to his ankles in a hog-tied fashion. The body showed multiple injuries, which are described further below in detail. The body weighed 55 pounds, was 49.5 inches in height, and appeared compatible with the reported age of 8 years old. The body was cold, rigor was present and fixed to an equal degree in all extremities. Lividity was present and minimal and fixed on the posterior surface. The body, except in areas exposed to pressure, the scalp hair was brown, wavy, and blood soiled. The irids were green. I'm guessing that's got to be the eyes. Congested with no petechial hemorrhages. Fly larvae was present in the left parietal region. The teeth were natural and in good condition. The neck, chest, abdomen, and extremities were unremarkable, except for the injuries to the described further below. The hands and feet shown washerwoman wrinkling. The posterior torso showed injuries as described below. A 1-inch birthmark is present over the left buttocks region. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long video. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So, a description of injuries. The body was covered with scattered and focal areas of dried mud and debris. The hands and feet showed washerwoman wrinkling. The wrists were bound to the ankles bilaterally with black shoelaces. Removing of the binding showed the abraded and contused furrows present on both right and left ankles and wrist. A strand of fabric-like material was clenched in the left hand. Head injuries. Multiple puncture scratches were present over the bridge of the nose. The left ala was abraded. The left side of the cheek was contused and abraded. The mucosal surfaces of the lips were contused slightly. I can't pronounce that word. With multiple superficial lacerations. The frenula were intact. Linear scratches were present on the left mandible region, along with a 3 by 3/4 inch area of abrasion. Situated on the right frontal scalp was a 2.5 by 1/2 inch area of edema and ovoid contusion, with overlying multiple small superficial lacerations, and a 1/8 inch depressed abraded laceration on the left forehead was a 1 5/8 inch by 1/8 inch abraded laceration. At the superior margin of the wound was a 1/2 inch abrasion. The anterior and posterior surfaces of the right ear were contused with overlying linear scratches. The helix of the right ear was abraded. Situated on the right parietal scalp was an ovoid area of contusion with associated edema, measuring 2 3/4 inch by 1 1/2 inch. Situated behind the right ear was an ovoid contusion with edema measuring 1/3 inch and by 1/4 inch by 3/4 of an inch. Situated behind the right ear were multiple semi-lunar scratches. Situated on the left partial scalp was a dovetail type laceration, measuring 3/4 by 1/8 inch. At the inferior margin of the wound was an extension pattern contusion in the form of an upside down L. On the vertical portion measured 1/2 inch, and the horizontal portion measured 1/4 inch. Situated on the left temporal scalp was an abraded contusion measuring 1 1/8 inch by 1/4 inch. Situated on the right zygomatic region was a 4 by 3/4 inch contusion with overlying puncture abrasions and a 3/16 inch by 1/2 inch abrasion. Superior to this wound, extending to the right forehead region, were 2 contusions measuring respectively 1/4 by 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Subsequent autopsy of the head showed multifocal, extensive subgaily contusions and edema. There were also multiple skull fractures, which are described as follows. Situated on the right postural frontal skull bone was a 1 1/4 semilunar fracture. Situated immediately below this fracture was a similar semilunar circular fracture measuring 2 inches. Below this, on the scalp, were 2 contiguous fractures. The most superior one measured 1 3/4 inch, and the intersecting semilunar inferior one measured 1 inch in length. Situated over the midline of the parietal scalp were 3 semilunar fractures, one of which became contagious, with the second with an overall dimension of 2 inches. Inferior to this fracture was a similar semilunar fracture measuring 1 3/4 inches. A 3/4 inch fracture involved the right anterior cranial fossa. A 3-inch fracture extended across the right posterior cranial fossa. The brain was edematous and showed subarachnoid hemorrhage involving the right cerebellar hemisphere. There were fracture contusions involving the right posterior cerebellar hemispheres. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing a lot of these words correctly. I'm not well with medical terminologies. Okay, so page 4, the neck, chest, and abdominal injuries. In an area measuring 3 inches by 3/4 inch, situated over the right side of the neck and scapula region, was an area of contusion with an overlying 1 1/4 and by 1/2 inch abrasion. Situated medial to this contusion, extending onto the left side of the neck, was a 1 by 3/4 inch contusion. Situated on the right shoulder were 3 scattered contusions measuring about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Adjacent to this was an area of focal red-purple contusion. Below this contusion was an area measuring 2 1/4 by 1/4 inch, where multiple linear diagonal-oriented abrasions surrounded by contusions. These abrasions were interspaced by a distance of 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Situated on the lower right side of the chest were 2 3/4 inch contusions. Below this contusion were 2 parallel oriented abrasions which measured 3/4 inch and were 3/4 inches each and were interspaced by a distance of 1/8 inch. Situated over the lower left side of the abdomen were a group of linear abrasions which were interspaced by a distance of 1/16 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I don't know what we can and cannot say on YouTube. So the anal and genital region, the male gland was circumcised and showed no injuries. The anus was dilated and showed no external evidence of injury. Mud and debris were present in the anal orifice. Subsequent autopsy demonstrated no internal injuries noted to the scrotum and testes. The mucal surfaces of the rectum were slightly hyperemic and showed no evidence of injury. Lower extremities, a 1/4 inch ovoid contusion is present over the left knee. Binding abrasions were present on the ankles bilaterally, situated above and below These binding abrasions were a faint red-purple contusion. Back injuries. A 1-inch contusion was present on the back of the left forearm, situated over the right upper back, were two diagonally oriented interrupted abrasions, each measuring about 4.5 inches. They were interspaced by a distance of a 1/2 inch, situated below this abrasion and on the left side of a 4 by 2 inch area of contusion. Below this contusion, extending to the right and mid-back, were two linear diagonal oriented abrasions, which were interspaced by the distance of 2/16 of an inch. Situated over the right buttocks were multiple linear scratches measuring from 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch. Puncture linear scratches were present on the inferior aspect of the left buttocks region. Page 5. Upper extremity injuries. The wrists showed binding abrasions situated around abrasions were contusions. Situated on the left antecubital fossae was 1/8 inch abrasion. Below this were linear abrasions measuring from 1/16 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Situated on the right linear emis was a 1-inch cut. Situated on the left thinner eminence was 1/8 inch superficial laceration. Situated on the back of the left hand was a 3/4 inch scratch and a 1/16 inch abrasion, which was present on the anterior surface of the left thumb. The hand showed bilateral washerwoman wrinkling. Internal evidence of injury of the neck, chest, and abdomen. There were multiple bite marks present on the lateral margins of the tip of the tongue. There were no hemorrhage noted in the muscles of the neck. The hyoid bone and larynx were intact. No petechial hemorrhages were present on the larynx or epiglottis. There were no penetrating or perforating injuries noted to the chest, abdomen, or pelvis. Evidence of drowning. The hands and feet showed washerwoman wrinkling. The sphenoid sinus contained 2 milliliters of bloody fluid. Petechial hemorrhaging were present on the epicardium, pleura, and thymus. The lungs were edematous and intruded abundant amounts of frothy material. I'm trying to go through this as quick as I can, guys. I'm sorry. We're already at 23 minutes, and I'm almost done with page 5. Internal examination. Body cavities. The body was opened by the usual thoracoabdominal incision, and the chest plate was removed. No adhesions or abnormal organs were present. No adhesions or abnormal collections of fluid were present. I'm sorry about that. In any of the body cavities, all body organs were present in normal anatomical position and showed moderate pallor. The subcutaneous fat layer of the abdominal wall was 1/2 inch thick, and there was no internal evidence of blunt force or penetrating injury to the thoracoabdominal region. Weights of organs. Brain was 1360, right lung 180, left lung 150, heart 110, liver 740, spleen 80, right kidney 50, left kidney 50, pancreas 40, and thymus 30. On to page 6. Head. injuries of the head were previously described. Sections through the cerebellum hemispheres, brainstem, and cerebellum revealed no non-traumatic lesions. Neck. Examination of the soft tissues of the neck, including strep muscles, thyroid gland, and large vessels, revealed no abnormalities. The hyoid bone and larynx were intact with no evidence of injury. Cardiovascular system. The pericardial surfaces were smooth, glistening, and unremarkable. The pericardial sac was free of significant fluid or adhesions. The coronary arteries arose normally, followed by the usual distribution, and were widely patent without evidence of significant thrombosis. The chambers and valves exhibited the usual size, position, relationship, and were unremarkable. The mitochondrium and dark red-brown, firm and unremarkable. The atrial and ventricular septa were intact. The aorta and its major branches arose normally, followed by the usual course, and were widely patent-free of the significant arthrocelulosis and other abnormalities. The vena cava and its major tributaries returned to the heart in its usual distribution and were free of thrombi. Respiratory system. The upper and lower airways contained bloody, frothy material mixed with a brown... I don't know what that is. It's blurred. The mucosal surfaces were smooth, yellow, tan, and unremarkable. The pleural surfaces were smooth, glistening with a petechial hemorrhages. The pulmonary parenchyma was salmon pink, exuding moderate amounts of blood and frothy fluid. No focal lesions or injuries were noted. The pulmonary arteries were normally developed, patent, and without thrombus or embolus. Damn it. Where did it go? Okay, there we are. Whew. Liver and biliary system. Again, sorry guys. The hepatic capsule was smooth, glistening, and intact, covering dark brown, moderately congested parenchyma with no focal lesions noted. The gallbladder contained 9 milliliters of green mucoid bile. The mucosa was velvety and unremarkable. The emphatic biliary tree was patent without evidence of calcul. Alimentary tract. The tongue showed evidence of injury as described above. The esophagus was lined with gray-white smooth mucosa. The gastric mucosa was arranged in the usual rugal folds, and the lumen contained 2 ounces of brown fluid. The small and large bowel were unremarkable. The pancreas had a normal pink tan lobulated appearance, and the ducts were patent. The appendix was present. The genitourinary system. The renal capsules were smooth and thin, semi-transparent, and stripped with ease from the underlying smooth red-brown cortical surface. The cortex was slightly congested and sharp, diluted from the medullary pyramids, which were red-purple to the tan and unremarkable. The calyces, pelvis, and that's too blurred, I can't read it, were unremarkable. The urinary bladder contained 1 ml of clear yellow urine. The mucosa was gray tan smooth. Testes, prostate, and seminal vesicles were unremarkable. On to page 7. The reticuloid system. The spleen had a smooth, intact capsule covering red-purple, moderately firm the lymphoid follicles were unremarkable. The regional lymph nodes appeared normal. Endocrine system. The pituitary, thyroid, and adrenal glands were unremarkable. The muscular system. Muscle development was normal. No astromic, bone, or joint abnormalities were noted. Microscopic. Skin, right wrist, intact epithelium, no hemorrhage. Skin, right ankle, intact epithelium, subcutaneous hemorrhage. Skin, right left ankle, intact epithelium, subcutaneous hemorrhage. Skin, left wrist, distribution of epithelium with dermal hemorrhage. Anus and rectum, no hemorrhage. Testes, no hemorrhage. Pathological diagnosis: 1. Multiple injuries with drowning. A. Head injuries, multiple facial abrasions and contusions. B. Multiple abrasions and contusions of lips. C. Multiple scalp lacerations and contusions. D. Multifocal subclavian contusions and edema. E. Multiple fractures of calvarium and base of skull. E. I think that's supposed to be an F, but they put E on here twice. Subchoroid hemorrhage and contusions involving the cerebellum and cerebellar hemispheres. 2. Binding of wrists and ankles in hogtied fashion. 3. Multiple contusions, abrasions, and lacerations of torso and extremities. 4. Defense-type injuries of hands. 5. Anal dilations with hyperemia of anal rectal mucosa. 6. Evidence of drowning. Washerwoman wrinkling of hands on hands and feet. A. Washerwoman wrinkling on hands and feet. B. Petechial hemorrhaging of heart, lungs, and thymus. C. Pulmonary edema and congestion. D. Aspiration of water onto sphenoid sinus. 7. No evidence of disease. 8. Terminal aspiration. Final page. Toxicology. No drugs detected. Blood type A+. A positive. Opinion is: this 8-year-old white male, James Michael Moore, died of multiple injuries with drowning. Investigation of the circumstances of death revealed that the decedent was one of 3 children. See related cases MEA 330-93 and MEA 331-93. They were found in the ditch, which contained approximately 2 to 2.5 feet of water. Approximately 150 yards southwest of the Blue Beacon truck wash on the south service road of at Interstate 40 and 55, West Memphis, Arkansas. The decedent was reported missing at approximately 6 p.m. on May 5, 1993, and his body was found the afternoon of May 6, 1993. When the body was found, he was nude and the wrists were bound to the ankles bilaterally. Autopsy showed that the decedent's hands were bound to his feet in a hogtied fashion. There were multiple traumatic injuries consisting of contusions, abrasions, and lacerations involving the head, torso, and extremities. The skull showed multiple fractures with associated brain injury. Defense-type injuries consisting of cuts were present on the hands. The anus was dilated and contained mud. spermatozoa were not detected in the oral and anal smears. In addition, there was evidence of drowning, which included washerwoman wrinkling of the hands, pulmonary edema, and congested aspiration of water into the spheroid sinus, and petechial hemorrhaging involving the heart, lungs, and thymus. The alcohol detected is probably the result of decomposition. No drugs were identified in the body fluids. Manner of death is homicide. And that is what we have for James Michael Moore. It's horrible. So that's going to be all for this video. I mean, I hope you guys like this video or find it informational. I can't really say, I hope you guys enjoyed this, because, who would enjoy hearing about the death of an 8-year-old boy? But I hope you guys found this informational, and I hope you guys stay tuned for my next video, who we will probably be covering, let's see, who will we be going over next? Damn it, my stuff closed. We'll probably be going over Stevie next. So, stay tuned for tomorrow when we go over Stevie. And I might have to do that one outside while my daughter's on the trampoline, because they don't have school tomorrow. So, she's going to be noisy. But until then, I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.